Hi guys, Mr. Lambert here. I'm just going to have a quick chat about why it is important that you should know how to read the food labels on the back of our food packaging. So quite often people will ask, what's the best way of improving my health and doing it quickly? Is that through a calorie counting app or maybe eating whole foods, maybe joining a boot camp? When actually one of the best ways for you to improve your health is by learning how to read nutritional labels. You might think that these labels contain some sort of complex science and mathematical equations, but really they're not that scary. So let's walk through how to properly read these things. The first thing you'll notice that on top of the nutrition facts are the serving size and servings per container. And this is simply the amount in the package or the container. It's pretty self-explanatory. Next, you have the ingredients. Okay, everything inside these black lines is representative of one serving. This is important to understand because next you'll see the calories and the calories from fat. Pretty much the only thing most people ever look at, and this is a common mistake. If the package says 200 calories on the back, then the servings per container say 2.5. Well, that means there's actually 500 calories in that bag. It's a clever little marketing trick that we should be aware of. Moving on, you'll see that the total fat on the package, along with the number and percentage on the right-hand side, this number represents the total fat in one serving, and the percentage represents the percentage based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So 8 grams is 12% of a 2,000 calorie diet. I should also remind you that fat is not always bad for you, and there's plenty of healthy foods that are high in fat too. And what you really want to watch out for are any trans fats. Okay, trans fats are the kind linked to heart disease and all sorts of other medical conditions, so you need to avoid this at all costs. Saturated fat should be much less of a concern, and this might surprise some of you. Think of saturated fat as the middle child of the fat family. Now, he's got a really good heart, but he's just a little bit misunderstood. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, wait a minute, is the total number of saturated fat and trans fats, well, why doesn't this add up to the total fat on the top? Well, where's the other 7 grams? Well, it's not because all fats are listed, basically. The nutritional label will only ever label the most important ones. But don't worry, the other fats aren't listed because they just generally aren't unhealthy, okay? And they're much less of a concern. Moving on to other things on the back of the packets, you will see cholesterol. You will also see sodium as well. These two. These numbers are based on one serving. So if the sodium was 25% of your daily intake and the package had 2.5 servings on it, that means the entire package contains 63% of your daily sodium intake. And it's quite a bit considering it's only one snack. You'll see the carbohydrate section. Carbs are the breads, the grains, fibers, sugars in food. And you'll see that there's a section for dietary fiber. And having a good amount of dietary fiber is a really good thing. It helps you with digestion and satisfaction from your meal, so how full you are. Okay. So the next section is what you really need to pay attention to. The total sugars in the food you're eating are important. They're much like trans fats, and they link to a whole host of diseases and to health problems. Also, you should be aware of not only the sugar in the food, but what kind of carbohydrates you're eating. If the food's really high in carbohydrates but really low in dietary fiber, even though the carb is not labeled as sugar, they'll pretty much operate in a similar way. So these are called simple carbs, and that's why you need to watch out for unrefined carbohydrates like white bread and for pastas. Next up, there's a couple of examples there. Next up, you'll see the label for protein. Eating foods high in protein will lead to better satisfaction from your meals and promote lean muscle tissue. You want most of the foods you eat to have a good amount of protein. Finally, we have a few key vitamins at the bottom. It may sound strange, but ignore these numbers, okay? These are notoriously low, and you shouldn't be focusing on them. You need to just focus on eating lots of fruits and vegetables in order to maintain your vitamin requirements. Leafy greens, they contain loads of calcium and iron, and fruits contain vitamin C and vitamin A. So the nutrition label facts contain recommendations of how much in each category to get. They don't change on the nutritional label, so they're not that important. Finally, on some labels, you will see the calories per gram for each macronutrient. That contains 9 grams per serving, and carbohydrates and proteins contain 4. So for every 10 grams of protein, you'll have 90 calories. For every 10 grams of protein, carbohydrates will give you 40 calories. So it's safe to say you should now have a general understanding of how nutritional labels work. Most importantly, you can stop assuming that something is healthy for you based on tricky packaging and they can all look colourful. So what you need to do now is to complete your worksheet or Google form, depending on what your teacher's got for you, and go back if you need to, watch the video again to answer any questions that you might not know the answer to. Kia ora.